Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. My brother and I are always so competitive. We have been that way since we were kids. We turned everything into a competition, and that's how we had fun. If mom asked both of us to do something, it would automatically become a game of who did it first or better. It was always healthy though, and there was nothing to worry about. I always won, and the only times my brother won were because he cheated. That is how I see it, even though he wouldn't agree if he saw this ad. He would say he always let me win because he didn't want me to cry. My brother was older than me by a year and 3 months, though I never agreed that he was older because we weren't that far apart. We went everywhere together and did the same things. We also had the same group of friends, which was really cool. One evening, we were at our neighbor's house having fun. They were 2 siblings like we were. We decided to play a game, and whoever won got to pick a truth or dare that the other team had to answer. Each of us had a different father. We just needed an explanation. It was scary for us. We always thought our mom and dad were happy because they always seemed to love each other and have a perfect marriage. A marriage that some of our friends envied because their parents were not like ours. So it was sad to even think that all that could be a lie, and maybe they weren't truly happy, but pretended to be around us. I didn't think that that was the case though, because we would have noticed something at least. My brother and I were acting strange, as we were not good at hiding when something was bothering us. Our parents asked us several times if everything was okay, and we just put on a fake smile and continued on. As months went by, I couldn't keep it to myself anymore, and I was finding it difficult to behave normally around my parents. Several thoughts came to my mind. What if they are happy because they both know the truth? Or what if dad doesn't know? What would become of my family? I needed answers, and I needed them right away. I was thinking about this on the dining table while we were having dinner, and my mom tried to get my attention, but I was deep in thought. When I became aware of my surroundings, I blurted out the question, "Who is my father?" to my mom. She was so shocked, and my dad was so confused. The guilt quickly washed all over me when I realized that dad didn't know. I stood up and ran to my room, and my brother followed me. From my room, I heard my father shouting and my mother crying. It was confirmed that he really didn't know, and I destroyed our happy family. Why couldn't I just keep my mouth shut? Can I live with knowing that I was the reason why my dad found out after 20 years that he really wasn't my dad? It made me feel sick. I couldn't stop crying, and my brother just held me in his arms and consoled me. I wouldn't leave my room for days, despite my mom coming to plead with me. I didn't want to hear anything from her. My brother and dad finally got me out. They said that we had to talk about what really happened. I've wanted to know the truth for months, so I came out of my room. When I saw my dad, I started crying all over again and told him that I was sorry and asked for forgiveness. He assured me that he wasn't upset with me and that I am as hurt as he is, and he can't blame me for wanting to know the truth. My mom looked horrible, even worse than me. I could tell that she had been crying a lot and was really stressed by the conversation we were about to have. She first apologized for the heartache that she had put us through, since we found out that we were not biological siblings. She confessed that she herself didn't know that I wasn't from dad because she didn't want to check. She said that around the time she had conceived me, she found out that my father was having an affair. So she went out that night and got drunk because she wanted to forget everything that happened. And then the mistake happened. The next morning, the man wanted to continue seeing her, but she declined, and they never contacted each other again. She never had the courage to confront dad about his affair because of what she did too, so she decided to block it out and behave like nothing happened. When she found out that she was pregnant, she wondered if it was for my dad or the other man, but never had the courage to check. After hearing the whole story, my father didn't know how to behave. It was true that he cheated on my mom and pushed her to the extent that she now cheated on him unintentionally, and the outcome was me. It was a very emotional time for my family. We couldn't put the blame on anyone because mistakes were made by both my parents and my brother and I for taking the DNA test. I was low-key glad that it came out sooner than later because now I know that I have another father. My mom and dad said that it was up to me if I wanted to meet my biological father. He didn't know that he had a child, so it may be a little tricky, but I was free to reach out and my mom was ready to help me. My father and mother apologized to each other and to us for not being perfect examples and promised to make sure that their mistakes do not affect us at all. I now see my parents in a different light, but I know I will get over it. Before, I thought they couldn't make mistakes and nothing could stain their character. Turns out, I was wrong, but they would always remain my parents and I love them. I wouldn't punish them for mistakes that they obviously regret. My parents left a week later on a 2-week vacation to mend their relationship. I really hope that they can mend their relationship and we can all go back to being one big family, possibly with an addition of one, my biological father. My mom helped me search for him, and we found him on social media. He is doing really well for himself and has a happy family. It feels like the right thing to do is to let things be and not reach out to him. I don't want to cause trouble for his seemingly happy family. But on the flip side, the same way I wanted to know my father, I think he deserves to know that he has a daughter somewhere, even if he doesn't want to connect with me. I honestly wouldn't blame him if he didn't want to connect, because this is all too complicated. Dad and Mom came back from their trip some days ago, and I can tell that the tension between them has significantly decreased. They are more like Mom and Dad now, though you can still see some signs that something happened between them if you look close enough. I'm happy that things are getting better. I decided to reach out to my biological father. I followed him on Instagram and sent him a message. I told him that I was the daughter of my mother and showed him a picture and asked if he still remembered her. He said yes, and I asked to speak to him about her. I wouldn't say more to him, except he agreed to meet me. We met at a basketball game that evening. It was amazing that we both liked basketball. I told him that my family and I just found out that I am not the biological child of my dad, and that he is. He was beyond shocked. He said that he could believe it because something happened between my mom and him, and he had actually wanted to date her, but she declined. Also, going by my age, it was really possible that he was my father. I told him that it was true because I did a DNA test with my brother over some stupid dare, and we found out what we were not looking for. I also told him that my mom didn't know for sure that I didn't belong to my dad, but she had speculations and was too scared to check, so she never did. I thought that he deserved to know, and that is why I reached out to him, and I would understand if he didn't want anything to do with me. He cut me short before I finished my sentence and said that he would love to be in my life, though it is news to him, and his family doesn't know, so he would have to inform them. He showed me pictures of his family. He had a wife and twin boys who were 15 years old. He spoke about how he could not forget my mom, but didn't reach out to her because she asked him not to, and he feels like I am the reason why he couldn't forget her. All went well with his family, and now I have 2 dads and 2 families. Not the a-hole. You had to find out who your real father was, so don't think that you destroyed your family. You only made it bigger. Not the a-hole. It serves your father right to cheat on your mom first. He got a double dose of the consequences. Next story. I, 28M, have a sister, 16F, and we live together. I don't know my dad, but when I was 6, my mom met a great guy that I consider my real father, and they had my sister. Now, when my sister turned 8, our parents died in a car accident. I was 20 back then and became her legal guardian, and has been raising her alone since. I had to sacrifice a lot for her, and it's been tough for the both of us, but we managed. I love my sister a lot, and I did, do, and will always put her first. When she was 15, she met a 16-year-old boy at her swimming pool club, and he became her first love and her first real boyfriend. He always seemed like a great guy. I like tinkering around PC parts. It's my hobby. After saving a bit, I bought high-end PC parts and built it myself. I also bought a very expensive OLED monitor. Now, I let my sister and her BF use the PC. when I'm doing something else or if I'm not at home. Her BF has always been very careful when using it and never did anything that would make me suspect him of doing something bad to it. I went hiking for 2 days and left my sister in her BF mom's care. I came back home on Sunday evening and almost fainted. My monitor was gone. I panicked and called my sister. She told me that her BF borrowed it for a day. I rushed to the BF's apartment, went into his room, and there he was, gaming on that monitor. I tried to be calm and said that I'm willing to forget this happened if he apologized. He looked at me and said, "I thought I could borrow it. I will be using it for another 2 hours. Just wait, okay?" The monitor was $1,500, and the rule was that no one but me can move it from my desk. They agreed to this. I became furious inside. I told him that I'm not going to yell at him, but I am taking it back now. He seemed annoyed, but let me take it back. His mom was at work, so she had no idea what he did. My sister was just watching from the side, clearly knowing that they both broke my trust. She apologized for both of them, but to me, it wasn't enough. I wanted him to apologize, but he refused. The next day, I found him using my PC. He didn't ask if he could, and I got angry and told him that unless he apologizes now, he's banned from entering the apartment, and my sister is grounded for letting him do it. He started yelling at me that I don't know how it is to be poor. I do. I raised my sister alone, having $5 in my bank account at times, and had to manage. But now we are doing well, so I kind of get him, too. Then he called me an a-hole and left. My sister started crying, saying that if I don't go back on my word and let him visit, she will hate me and go NC when she turns 18. I feel like I'm lost in this situation, as I don't want to lose my sister, and I have to let go so she doesn't hate me, because she hasn't talked to me for the entire week. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Boy, the boyfriend is one entitled kid. There is a name for what he did, and it isn't borrowing. It's theft. He took something from your home without your permission. Then, when you went to retrieve your stolen item, he had the gall to say he was still using it. Then, rather than try to rebuild trust, he just uses your computer without permission. The boy has clearly shown he can't be trusted. You are completely justified not allowing him in your home again. As far as your sister's threats go, I'm not sure how seriously I would take them. She is a teenager and overly dramatic. This is a first love and probably won't last the year. One thing I would do is do something to keep an eye on your place. I would not trust your sister to not sneak her boyfriend into the place when you are not there. Next story. I am a widower. My first wife passed away 6 years ago from cancer. A few years after she passed, I reconnected with a former girlfriend of mine. We ended the relationship amicably, but lost touch over the years. We started dating again, albeit long distance, and we married this past January and moved in together this February. There has been a major hiccup in all of this, though. My daughter has a pet rabbit, and she's had him for almost 5 years now. His name is Basil. Basil lives in my daughter's room and currently enjoys a lot of space. We converted her walk-in closet into a bunny pad. He is litter trained, and she often lets him run around the house. He honestly is more like a cat than what you would think a pet rabbit would be like. She has a little ramp for him to get on and off her bed, and he will follow her around the house and everything. Unfortunately, it seems that my stepson is highly allergic to rabbits. It seems to be a pretty severe allergy. We've gone to doctors to try medicine, we tried banning Basil from the common areas of the house, and had everything professionally clean. No dice on any of it. Just walking down the hallway past my daughter's room causes my stepson's eyes to swell and his throat start to close. My stepson and wife are currently living in a hotel until we can make the house safe for him. I told my daughter we have to move Basil outside because him living indoors just isn't safe for his stepbrother. She is understandably very upset about this. I've tried to involve her in picking out and building an appropriate setup for Basil, but she absolutely refuses to do so. She is mostly not talking to me, and when she is, it's screaming, crying, and saying every hurtful thing she can think of towards me. Am I the a-hole? Hindsight is 2020. I definitely see now that we should have made more of an effort to bring stepson here before the official move-in. Unfortunately, it wasn't an option for most of our relationship. My wife's ex would not allow it. He lost his parental rights last year, and that's when we decided we could finally move in together. I'm definitely a bit dumb for that one. I accept that. My stepson's allergies weren't super severe right off the bat. The first few days he was here, he was mildly stuffy. Then, they progressed and became quite severe after 2 to 3 weeks living here. Whenever we traveled to them, we always went with freshly laundered clothes, and I assume that that's why he didn't react to dander on us before we visited. It seems the constant exposure of living with the rabbit exacerbated the situation. It is not an option for my daughter to live with grandparents or other family. Unfortunately, it is also not going to be feasible for us to purchase a second home or rent an apartment for my wife and son. They are in a hotel for a few weeks while I get the rabbit situation sorted and bring the cleaners back out. So, I messed up, but what's done is done now. My wife and stepson are family too, and I have to do right by them, as well as my daughter. I am converting a shed we have on the property to a bunny barn. I'm working on getting it insulated and refinished. I will have electricity run out to it so it can be climate controlled. My wife is actually helping to finance the conversion. We all love each other and want to make this work. Seriously, guys, I am not divorcing my wife over this. That is in no way, shape, or form an option.